goodness. We got Maven Keys on the podcast. How are you today, Miss Maven?
I am fantastic.
You know, I,
Fantastic.
I never really like double checked. Am I saying it right? Or is it like Marvin?
Nope,
Or
it's
is it?
Maven.
Oh my gosh.
Nailed it.
I nailed it.
Pew-pew-pew.
I nailed it. By the way, like while that intro was playing, I don't know why, but in my mind, I wanted to hear T-Pain sing "If I Have One More Drink." You know that song?
Yes. Yes. Oh, I
Ah,
love T-Pain. I have a strong affinity for the Epiphany album. That was
oh
one of
yeah.
my favorite things ever in my early 20s. Yeah.
No kidding, man. That was like the best musical time in a while, actually, because before that it was the
Mhm.
90s music that was really the hot stuff. You
Yes.
know, all of the
Mhm.
R&B that was coming out, the Aaliyahs, the Ciscos, and just everybody that was a part of
Oh
that
yeah.
pop music, the genuine,
Oh
Jump
yeah.
on it. Oh man, you guys don't want to get me started, man. I know I can't sing, but you guys get me started, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, you don't. Yes, yes,
So
yes.
that's
I
your
could
that's
talk. We could just make this a music conversation if you want to
oh
do that. We
totally
could just do that.
totally let's get into it, man. Like what is your typical playlist looking like?
Oh boy, I honestly don't have a typical. Everything for me musically is 100% mood based and can absolutely change on a dime.
Hmm.
Because as we were saying earlier before we started this, when we were getting our tech on to make sure we were streaming right, I am an elder millennial. I am like on the cusp of, I was born in the early 80s. And so my parents were born in the late 50s. So all the music that I experienced growing up is very vast. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, my great grandparents. So I listened to a lot of like wartime, like swing music.
Mm.
Glenn Miller Orchestra is like one of my favorite things ever. And all of that type of stuff. I go to jazz shows often here where I live. But I also love twang country and pop and really shitty electronic music when the mood is right. And I am a Meg Thee Stallion stan, big
Oh
time.
shit.
Um, and I also like, I fuck with gangster rap so hard. I used to listen to Tupac, like the All Eyes on Me like double album was like my shit when I was like 12 in my bedroom alone, just like in the mirror.
What
Like
was like
Tupac
the
was my
first
bestie.
what was like the first rap music you ever really dove into? Was it Tupac?
Definitely, definitely, because oh, I'm really gonna date myself, but I think I was like 10 or 11 and I signed up. I had some magazine and signed up for one of those like Columbia House like BMG music clubs. So
Right.
like 13 CDs for a penny. For the kids out there, a CD is a compact disc and it looks like this and
Oh
almost
yeah.
like a record but smaller, and you put it in these things, these little lasers ding off of it, plays music. This shit is wild, but you used to
That
be
is
able to
the
get 13 for a
wildest.
penny.
That is the wildest thing to think of right now that the kids today will never know what a CD is. And for us, it's so normal and regular. They won't
Yes.
even know what a DVD is.
No.
Honestly, the DVD and the CD for them is what the cassette tape was for us, honestly. But,
Mhm.
well, actually, no, because we had that when we were younger during
I
that
had a
pop.
cassette Walkman, and when the battery
Ooh.
died, like the tape would slow. It would
So,
play slower.
yep, yep. So I guess like for us, it would be more so like a record player. What do they call it? I don't know. I see it skipping my
Like
mind right
eight
now.
tracks. Eight
Or
tracks
or
and
8 track, yeah, or a record, yeah. Because like
even
a
yeah,
record, so we
vinyl.
can really, yeah, vinyl. Excuse me, yeah. So vinyl, like that wasn't our era really like that. I
No.
have one now because I just like that kind of stuff. But it
Yeah.
even sounds different when you listen to a vinyl.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Those definitely vinyl is making a comeback too because of the sound quality is like unmatched. But
Hmm.
yeah, also like what you can get digitally is also unmatched. So you just find your vibe. But yeah, again with like the technology of music, it's wild. I remember like a year or two ago. I was with a coworker who was younger, and we were just having general conversation. I said something about the first CD I ever owned, and he was like, um, I've never owned a CD. And I was like,
Mm,
what? What do you mean?
that's
But he was
so
born
crazy.
in 2000. And so when I thought about him, okay, if you're born in 2000, iPods weren't a thing until like 2008-ish, early 2010. And if you were a child then, why would you have a CD?
I
Like,
remember being in high school, and I was probably in the 11th grade when we're super aging ourselves right now. But
I
I
know.
was in high school and the iPod came out, and so I remember the iPod came out, I believe, before the iPhone, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And so I had an iPod. So if iPods came out before, yeah, around like 2004 ish, then that means there's no possible way that if you were born early 2000s that you really even really use CDs at all, because everything
No,
was digital at that point. That's wild
everything.
to think about. 50 Cent in the Club came out 20 years ago. That's wild to
Oh
think about.
God. It's your birthday. Go shorty. Wow.
And
That song
it's
still
still
knocks though. It's
it
still
does, yeah,
good. Like you
it
still
totally
like,
does.
all right. Yeah. I'm surprised. I don't feel anyone's sampled that yet, and that's kind of surprising.
Well, it's probably because the people that own the music is Jimmy Iovine and
Oh
Interscope.
yeah. He's like, nah.
Oh yeah, like none of those guys are allowing that to fly. However, I do see that Fergie is getting sampled in a new Jack Harlow song. I don't know if you know
Oh,
too much about
I
Jack
I saw
Harlow.
that today. I saw a reel come through and I was like, oh,
I
okay.
was like, okay, shit. I was like, yeah,
100%.
that's
100%.
but the wild part about that in general is that the music that we came up on that we don't even think is old like that until we put it into perspective is getting sampled now.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
music you
yes.
came up on is getting sampled now,
Hmm.
that's like a realization, like, damn, okay,
Yeah.
okay, I've been there for a little bit.
That's a weird thing to run into like dating wise because I don't usually aim to date people younger than me, but it just kind of has naturally occurred that way.
Mhm.
And they'll like play a song, and I'm like, oh shit! Like, and I start to like feel all this like respect and like fondness. It's like, oh, he like knows, and then it's something new, and then I'm like, oh, he doesn't know. I remember someone played Poetic Justice for me, like Kendrick's version or whatever. Like last year, 2 years ago. And I was like, yeah, I
Mhm.
love this, but I actually love the original. Like, big Janet stan also. Love
Yeah,
Janet, grew up
Janet
with
Jackson.
Janet, like, never
Mhm.
not gonna love her forever. And he was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, anytime, any place, like the hottest music video like ever made. You don't know what that is? And he was like, no.
Right.
I was like, oh,
Oh, wow. I know.
devastated, devastated.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, you didn't know that was a Janet Jackson, like, sample? Oh my gosh.
Made me sad, made me real
I
sad.
know, I know, like, one of the best women R&B pop artists to ever, like, grace this earth, let alone her brother is the king of
Ever,
pop, you know?
ever.
Like, you know,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
It's really crazy to think about when you put all of that into perspective, honestly, but, like, even MJ, like the music that he put out, honestly, his like music that really made him, the distinguished artist that he was, came out before we were born, really. Well, actually,
Mhm.
no, it came out like early 80s.
Uh, the Thriller album dropped the year I was born.
See? Yeah. So
Mhm,
like
yeah,
his like music that like really like last as of today,
yeah,
it came out like before most people were born, but his music's so iconic, and it came out a long time ago. What see, that's the good thing about great music, is that it never really goes away. And sometimes you don't even
yeah.
realize that it came out so long ago. My child, she listens to that song by Flo Rida and T-Pain. Speaking of T-Pain again, that low, 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 low. And I
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
that
yeah,
came out like on like when I was in high school. And she's like, what? Really? I'm like, yeah, that came out that long ago. She's like, oh wow, well, I like the song. And I'm just thinking,
yeah.
see, that's the great thing about good music, is that it just never goes away.
It doesn't, it doesn't. Anything with a good hook will
Hmm.
stand the test of time. It's
I
just
gotta
how it
ask,
goes.
if you're at a barbecue, at a
Mhm.
get together, or any kind of gathering, and Cupid Shuffle comes on, do you know how to do the Cupid Shuffle?
Of course. Of
Yeah,
course.
okay.
Is it my favorite thing? No, but I'll jump in. I'll jump
To the
in.
left, to the left. Like,
I'd
oh
rather do
shit.
the wobble. Honestly, I'd rather wobble, but that's a personal preference.
Wobble, what's wobble? Put me on wobble.
No, wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble. That one.
Oh, oh,
Yes.
she
That's
said
more of a
she's
barbecue
Southern.
jam, though, I think.
Oh, she said, I am Southern and we are wobbling around here.
Yes.
Awesome. That's awesome.
We're in
So,
Texas. We're in Texas. Yeah, you
oh,
know.
in Texas. Okay. Well, hey, that's
Hmm.
Southern right there.
Yes,
I
it is.
never really been to Texas like that, but I heard it's humid.
Yeah, I mean, Texas is Texas.
Right.
I will say I am based near Austin, and so I am like a, as we affectionately like to say, like we're a blueberry in the middle of a cherry pie kind of situation.
Ooh,
The Austin area is like all things Texas, but it's also not Texas. So I feel like we live like in a little bubble here. But
I've
I
heard great
do love this
things.
area.
Yeah, I've heard great things about that area. I've always
Yeah,
wanted to go to South by Southwest. Maybe that's why you're so into music, is because they
sure.
have music festivals out there, don't they?
Yeah, that and also the Austin City Limits Music Festival is a pretty big deal here. That happens in the fall every
Mm,
year, and that's a 2-weekend, 3-day festival. I don't really go to festivals like I did when I was younger because shoot, I just don't have the energy for it. But
right.
yeah, it's a big music city. There are lots of clubs all over town. So depending on what you're into, there's a vibe every night for whatever you want to see. And there's so many people trying to get their music heard that you can find a lot of happening people around here, which is great. I mean, Austin's very lively. It's definitely like a neigh it's a town where you have to seek out the things you want. They're definitely there, but you have to go digging for them. Yeah.
Man, shout out to Austin right quick.
Shout out to Austin.
I'm gonna have to pay. Yeah, oh yeah. I have to pay a visit to Austin. Well, how about we get into our first foot marshal here,
Yeah.
then we'll start to get
Yes.
on some Maven Keys topics. Yeah. If you are watching this right now, make sure you smash the like button. I noticed that 50% of the people that watch this show are subscribed, and the other 50% are not. So make sure you press that subscribe button. I know sometimes it can slip your mind. And don't forget to smash that like. And I do have Maven's Twitter and IG on the screen. If you're listening to this and can't see the screen, it'll be in the description of this podcast. Yeah. Amazing. I knew Maven would set the foot marshals on fire. Awesome. All right, so we're back. So
Here we
I
are.
got to get into the Maven Keys thing for the people that do not know of you and are curious to learn about you.
Yeah.
So Maven Keys, why that name?
Uh, it
She's
is it is like an amalgamation of a few ideas. So
I like to hear your ideas because you go in depth. I feel like you
some
do
people might say
everything.
get to the fucking point, you know.
No, but that's the great part about you, is that you go into depth on certain topics, and you go into depth on everything. Honestly, like
I
you,
try to.
yeah, and you're methodical, strategical, and all those things. So
Mhm,
that's
mhm,
very
mhm.
interesting to me. So go ahead.
I am. I definitely am someone that is a big idea, big picture person. I'm super macro. I love to zoom out, but I also really love to zoom in. And I think
Mm,
that zooming in is hyper important. Um,
yeah,
Sometimes we get lost in the big picture, and the little things are the things we need to pay attention to. But
right.
I digress. The origins of my name. When I first started doing this, and I was trying to create some sort of pseudonym that um, wasn't anywhere near my actual name, but something that I had an affinity for. So I was going to pick like my party girl name, which was a name I only used when I went to Las Vegas.
Mm.
And my name was Sophie Keys. And that
Uh,
was because of a person that I was hanging out with when I was definitely in a party girl phase. And we loved the Black Keys a lot.
okay. Okay.
And so when I would go out, I'd be like, I'm Sophie Keys, like I'm Sophie.
Mm,
And so that's kind of where it started. And then when I started to look through Twitter and Instagram, Reddit, everything, there are so many girls in sex work in general named Sophie.
mm,
So it's not really a distinguishing name, no matter what you put on the end of it. So I thought I needed to be like a little bit more creative about it.
mm,
So I just thought about it for a while longer. And I'm a big, like, I think I use my dictionary and thesaurus app probably more than a normal person, if even normal people have them, that app in the first place. But I'm always looking for like another way to say something. So I I wanted to, I think I was searching for like master or something like top tier, like um, top shelf, whatever is like the choice of what you're doing. And so Maven came across, and Maven is essentially like an expert, the top tier of their craft, their skill,
mm.
whatever that might be.
Wow.
And that can be just, someone who is a maven of their craft. But I chose to take it on like as a name, as a moniker. And I kept the keys just because I loved it, but also it worked over tenfold in ways that I didn't know was actually going to work to my advantage. Because when I started doing this, I never thought I would do chastity or entertain chastity at all, but
Mhm.
Keys
Ah,
works in quite well for that purpose. So yeah, that's it's fun. So that is the origin of Maven Keys as a name. Yes.
shout out to that in-depth answer right there. 'Cause I knew it was gonna be like a lot to it. I
It's
knew it
loaded.
wasn't. Yeah, I knew you didn't wake up one morning and say, you know what, my name is Maven Keys, and I knew it wasn't like that at all. And it's super interesting
Uh,
that you talk about chastity, actually, because I know that's very big in the world that we work in and network in. Do you have a lot of people that are interested in chastity?
Not a lot, just a couple,
Just a
and that's
couple.
fine
Hmm.
because I'm only one lady. I only have so much like attention span. So yeah, two is enough at this point, but that's fun. It's fun times. As long as everybody's like having a good time with it, that's all that matters. But I also have met, I always ask people right away when they want to engage in some sort of relationship with me, what their limits are and things like that. And just like me, like I'm very quick to tell you that I'm very open-minded, but also here's what I will not do. Like
Mm,
I will tell you that immediately. Um, and I have a lot of guys who say those things as well right out of the gate. Like I'll do, I'm so excited to do all these things, but this I'll never do. And I think chastity is at the top of that list because let's be honest, most guys need to need to get off. Most guys don't want to
right.
be locked up. That can be, it's a whole thing on its own. So, and it provides a certain a certain like, I don't know, a feeling, a certain sensory deprivation that some people really enjoy. Most people aren't going to like that.
I like that sensory deprivation. That is a
Yeah.
good way to put it. Would you yourself ever wear a chastity?
No, hell no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, no. Mom, mama needs love. Mama
Yeah,
needs
mom,
love, whether it's from herself or someone else. Like, yeah,
right, right. No,
yes.
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I
Never
tell you
deprive
what,
myself in that way.
I tell you what though, for the guys that do put themselves in chastities, whether it's for their self or for the enjoyment of whoever they're, you know, person is that's putting them into chastity, holding yourself back, I believe this is for the fellas right here. I believe, or maybe for the women too, but holding yourself
Mhm.
back, I feel like gives the guys a lot of energy because
Oh,
the
yeah.
semen retention is actually something that is actually very vital for guys from time to time. Like you can't get off every single day. So you almost want to put yourself in a imaginary chastity. Have you ever heard of anything like that? Um,
No, well, yes and no. I mean, that's technically like edging, right? And I have a lot of guys that are into edging like long term, like they want me to tell them when they're allowed to release. So
mhm.
that's a fun thing to play with, and it's kind of in this in a similar vein, I think.
Yeah. So there's something about like holding yourself back as a gentleman where I don't know why, but it like just gives you a certain energy, and I believe it has something to do with the fluids that go through the spine, and actually when you hold your semen back, it causes a fluid to travel upwards in your spine, and it actually gives you energy in your in your nervous system because it goes up to your brain. There's a lot to it. I'm no doctor, so I
Sure.
can't give you like the actual like
Yeah.
the explanation behind it all, but a lot of people can say the same. Like me, like if I were to, get off like first thing in the morning, this is crazy. I don't know, maybe not every guy's like this, but my energy level is different. So I don't know.
Like in a bad way,
Not
or
necessarily
like in a
a bad
not as
way.
great way.
I'm way more productive when and this might be TMI. I know a lot of you, when you come to the show, you want to know about the guests and not really necessarily about the guests. I get that.
I
But,
want to know. I love hearing perspectives from everyone.
for me, when I hold myself back, I have more productive energy. When I
Okay.
don't, I'm more relaxed. I'm more liable to take a nap during the day if I get off early in the day.
That
Seriously.
makes sense.
And I'm a person who I love to be productive. I love to be creatively productive. I like to do things that make me feel like the day is a success. And so I'm more of a nighttime person.
Got you.
Per se. Yeah, and sometimes I will put myself in that imaginary chastity and I'll wait a week. I mean, I don't know if Mama Goods necessarily likes that, but but it's also good for
Yeah.
marriage too, because I mean, you got to figure out ways to spice up the sex life.
Yeah. I was gonna say you gotta keep it spicy. You got
Yeah,
to.
so,
Mhm.
like holding ourselves back from each other from time to time, it actually really actually creates this anticipation and a buildup so that when we do decide to, go get it cracking, it's more pleasurable rather.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I just got a mental picture of you be like, all right, let's get it cracking upstairs.
I do come off as the person that would like have a scheduled like, all right, so we're gonna do it at 9 o'clock
Is that good for
PST.
you? 9:30. Quarter after? Quarter till.
Oh
9:15 then.
goodness, yeah. Would you say that you're like that as well? You're a very planned out person, or do you like the
Oh
spontaneous?
God. I want to be and I try to be, and lists are like the best thing. And also, like, I'm like, fuck it. So, we were talking about signs earlier, and that's why I'm like, I'm constantly at odds with myself. Capricorns are like super rigid, very, I shouldn't say rigid, regimented. They're super methodical and like looking how to attack like everything and also how to get a bag. And that's my
Mm,
rising sign. And a
oh,
Sagittarius is very much like, we let's have fun and be bright and sunshiny and do whatever. And so I'm constantly at odds with myself. So I'm not as organized as I want to be. I
mhm,
find that it's it's hard for me to stay organized for myself in this business, and so I have to like work on better methods. But if you pay me outside of this place to do an arbitrary job, I will fucking boss anything, because I
mm,
never want you to like, I'm always like, I'm the best person you've got who's better than me. Like
ooh,
I kind of do that outside of like, I need to harness that energy for myself, like full force, but haven't really done that. But in regards to like what you were saying earlier, I think it's interesting, because I've met men who are need something first thing in the morning, and guys that don't and prefer night. And so I can see both sides of that now. I think from a female perspective, like I'm down pretty much any time of day, but what I will say is that in the morning, like if I get it good in the morning, I feel great, but I am also so relaxed in the body, and my brain will go to another place the whole day. Like I cannot concentrate. Like if you really dick me down in the morning, I can't think about anything else as the
Oh,
day goes on. I really can't.
except for that.
I have a very hard time, yes.
So you,
If it's done right. Now, if it's just like, cool, I got laid and then I go home, it's whatever, and then you
Mhm.
go about your day. But if you like really connect with somebody first thing in the morning and then you have to like go do a day, you're like, whew, like the chemicals, like you're just like overloaded.
so you would consider yourself a nympho.
I wouldn't say that, but I prefer to stay pleased.
Mm,
Whether
gotcha.
that's me or whether that's someone helping me out, you know, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, that's that's perfectly making sense right there. I gotta ask
Mhm.
though. So you said that the Capricorn is your rising sun,
Yes.
and the Sagittarius is what again?
My son, like my main sign, that's based on the day of my birth, December 13th.
See,
Write
I
it
didn't
down,
know.
boys. Take notes. December 13th. Send me gifts and money.
See, I'm
Okay.
taking those guys. Everybody's doing the same
Good
thing.
boy. Good
Yeah,
boy.
I'm
Yes.
trying to, I know you got the keys, so you know what I mean. I'm just
You know.
trying to see what you can unlock here.
Hmm,
Um,
hmm, hmm.
all right, so with the Sagittarius being the main sign, how does one go about like having like different signs? I didn't know that. I thought there was just one.
That is an full astro geek. I don't go into super in depth, but I really love reading about it because there's planets and there's houses and there's fixed signs and muted signs and cardinal signs and all these things, Lilith and dark moons, and you can get really into it. And that is when you put in your date of birth plus the time and location. So if you've ever seen like, there's some really funny memes out there where it'll show like a text exchange between like a guy and his mom. Like it'll say mom at the top, and he'll say, "Mom, what time was I born?" And mom replies, "Stay away from her." Um, which is girls like me, but I will work those things in a conversation again methodically, and like I'll never be like, "So when were you born? Where were you
Mhm.
born?" Like
Right.
I'll be like, "So where are you from?" Okay, born and raised. All right.
Hmm.
Like I'm I will ask you what I want to know without asking you.
I hear you. No, you're very strategic. That's the Maven
Mm.
Key way right there.
It is. It's a little bit. I like to infiltrate. I like to incept the mind a bit. Um, I loved psychology in college, so it was like definitely one of my favorite topics. Still
Is that
is.
Is that why you loved that movie that you told me to watch, Deep
Yeah.
Waters? There was a lot of psychology
That
in that
terrible
movie.
movie.
It was a terrible movie, but there was some psychology within there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I also, earlier when you were like, what should we talk about? I'm like, I don't want to talk about that movie, but in terms of like what you and I have discussed with like media and things like being injected into different spaces when you are in this kind of work, or you are like discussing sex work in general and you're like familiar with fetish, it's very hard to watch these things with a normal eye like you would have
Mhm.
before. And what was really funny about that movie in particular is that when I went and read the reviews like on Rotten Tomatoes after I watched it, people are like, "What in the actual fuck?" And like the Reddit thread on that was so wild, and I could not stop. Like I was screaming, I was crying, I was laughing. It was the best thing. because these people did not understand what was going on. And I'm like, well, if you look at it through a fetish lens, it's very simple.
Oh yeah.
And for me, it was like he was absolutely a cuck that could not satisfy her, which is why she slept in another room,
Mm-hmm.
why he lotioned her feet and her legs and her body before she went to sleep.
Right.
Like all these things, like she would smoke, blow it in his face. I mean, and constantly, like, there were just so many things reinforced, so many different ideas throughout that entire thing where I was like, wow, it just kind of really changed my mind about some things and how I view them. And that one, sorry, I got a weird pain in my knee. Um, that one felt almost like they were in like total power exchange. Like he obviously
Yeah.
provided a certain way of living for an exchange of, yeah, they did have a child, but as she told him, you wanted that.
Right.
That's never what she wanted, and she was allowed to do whatever she wanted. But that was also based on a book that ended apparently very
Mm.
differently. Apparently, in the book, spoiler alert, fast forward, go back if you don't want to hear this, but he kills her in the book at the end. He drowns her in the
What?
water. Yeah.
What? No fucking way.
Because he doesn't want to get a divorce and she won't stop cheating, so he drowns her.
Oh, that puts a whole nother perspective on like my theory
Yes,
that I was
yes,
talking about. We're talking about Deep Waters, by the way, everybody, if you're like wondering
yes.
at all. It's the movie
Yeah.
with what's that guy's name again? Oh, Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how do I forget that name, right?
Ben
Yeah,
Affleck.
see, yeah. See, I've been watching a lot of Bridgerton, so I might have a British accent just pop out of nowhere. I've been I've been saying "shall" a lot lately.
There
Like,
we go.
I shall
Yeah.
make some coffee, my grace. Yeah, it's funny because like I've been so involved in that show over the last few days that like almost everything that I'm saying, I'm like, oh shit, like that Bridgerton is really rubbing off on me right now. I've been calling Mama Goodz my Duchess.
Your
Um,
Duchess. Oh, that's really sweet though. That's cute.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
nice moniker. That's really like a sweet term of endearment. I like that a lot. A
Is it
Duchess.
really?
Yeah.
I love how proper they were in the early
Yeah.
1800s.
Yeah.
I
It's
almost
sweet.
wanna, yeah, it is endearing, my grace. Like saying
Yes,
words like that,
exactly.
they were more.
It seemed less sexual and more like affectionate and more loving to say things like that instead of being like, yo, shorty, that ass tight. Like,
Stop it. Hey, let's do a foot commercial. You say yo, shorty, that ass tight. Hey, everybody, smash the like button right quick. Hey, I'm gonna do some shout outs in the comments here. If you're on the live right now, drop a comment so I can shout you out. We got Sebastian. Shout out to Brandon. Coverland Darkness. Naraj Sharma. Hey, Sharma, that's season 2 in Bridgerton. The Sharmas. Shout out to Hassan, Amir, Manos, KF, Nelson. Shout out to Jakes. He says, wow. What have I came across? Shout out to Lane. He said, Daddy G just popping in to support you. Say hello. Never make it to the lives. Cannot stay long, but love to all and the wonderful Maven Keys especially. Shout out to Lane. Appreciate all the in-depth comments that you leave on the podcast. Yo, shorty, that ass tight.
that ass tight.
That is so
Inappropriate. Inappropriate.
that's how you know
Sorry.
she's from Texas, man.
Yeah.
She,
Yeah. I dated a guy a couple years ago that said something about he made a comment about a guy friend that he had that would always like turn down like thick girls. And he was like, I finally had to tell that motherfucker that ain't Southern. Like, you know, if you only like skinny girls, you're not from Texas. Get out of here.
yeah, no, you are definitely not from the South at all if you don't like skinny
No.
girls.
No, 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 no. No,
But
no
the
shade to the skinny girls. I've had
no
some
shame.
skinny friends in my life. They're like, I just want to gain weight and they can't, we're all good in our own ways. But you know, in
Well,
Texas, we like cornbread and brisket and
I
the
know, man.
things
All the good barbecues from the south of Texas and Nashville,
that it is.
and I love some good barbecue. So I'm already knowing that I gotta pay a visit to Texas just to get some barbecue sometime. See, I'm a foodie like crazy, so you put
Oh,
me in a place
nice.
like Texas, I'll definitely put on like 20 pounds. There's
Yes,
no
you
shot.
will. And
And hopefully,
this is a
hopefully,
food
Mama
city
gets
for
back to me.
sure.
Yeah, but it's so
Also,
true though.
Houston. Oh man, Houston got the eats. Like I fuck with Houston so hard for a lot of reasons. I think Houston is like one of the is sorry, Austin. One of the is probably the best city in Texas. If hurricanes withstanding, that's an outlier. That sucks. That's kind of why I don't live there.
Definitely.
But Houston is great. Musically, culturally, like food wise. Wow. Everything's happening over there. It's a fun city.
We had a sandstorm in Las Vegas yesterday, and that
Ooh,
shit was crazy. I was like, "What
nah.
the heck is a sandstorm?" You know, it was like
Darude?
really. It looked.
Hugh
It
Darude?
looked. I don't know what I got. Is that wait? What's that? Is that a Bridgerton
Wait,
thing? Or
no, 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 no. Do you remember that song Sandstorm by Darude?
I
From
don't
like,
remember that.
okay, I'm gonna send it to you. I'll send it to you
Okay,
after this. Then you'll be
good.
like, oh, that's the one.
I have to listen to
Anyway.
it because it probably is exactly what I went to yesterday, and I just got done putting up my pool the day before, and I was like, "Damn, yeah,
No.
filled it all the way up."
Bummer.
Now there's like a whole bunch of sand in there. So I'm like, all right, perfect. But I didn't know that there
That
was going to be a
works.
sandstorm. And well, they call it a dust storm, and it looks super foggy and just looks kind of scary. You know, a lot of wind, it's
Sure.
super windy, and it looks like trees are going to break down. I'm like, damn, like
Yeah.
that's Las Vegas right there. And also in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
another random weather thing that happens out here is monsoons, and it just will flash flood out of nowhere.
Oh no.
Yeah, so
Nah.
Houston has the hurricanes. Las Vegas has flash floods and dust storms. So anywhere you go, there's going to be some kind of wild type of weather. As long as I'm not anywhere near tornadoes, I'm good.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No. Tornadoes, no, that's no good.
Yeah,
Vegas
tornadoes.
is sick though. Like I haven't been to Vegas in a minute and I miss it. I have very strong affinity for the desert. Like I love the desert in general. But yeah, Vegas is great.
When you say infinity for the desert, tell me
Yeah.
about saying it in that kind of way.
Well, pardon me. Um, a couple years ago, uh, it's been longer than that probably, when I went to Big Bend in West Texas for the first time, which is on the Mexico border, the Rio Grande River.
Hmm.
Um, and the Chisos Mountains are pretty prominent throughout this desert landscape. So it's really, really beautiful and it's just untouched. But there's also like, there's so much life in what you don't see. Like you look out and you just see nothing, but
Hmm.
there's a lot happening. And it to me is like the ocean upside down. Like it's the ocean emptied out, right? That's literal, that's time that we can see where things have gone from something to what appears to be nothing. But the
Mm.
desert is like amazing because of how it is so extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, it can kill you so quickly if you don't take care of yourself while you're in it, and it appears to be non-directional, you know.
Hmm.
It's so vast. I don't know, it's very scary, but it's also like super magical. Like the first time I was out there was um I had just like built a fire and I was going to go hiking the next day and was watching the sunset and like these coyotes just like came running up over across like a bend and like stopped like 100 feet away from me and like looked at me and then they just like went off in
Kept
the distance and
going.
I was just like, what is that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Are those
I don't know, you just
coyotes?
have those moments with, like, nature where you, like, connect in a weird way that you don't even really you're like, "Feels a little magical and a little spiritual." I'm not a religious person, but, I've had some pretty, magical experiences in the desert. So, yeah.
You know,
And
Las
not drug induced either,
Oh,
honestly.
that's there you go. There you have it.
I
Do
do
you
like mushrooms, but I haven't done them in the desert. I have too much respect for the desert to put myself in an altered state
but
out
what if
there.
that altered state is what we're supposed to do when we're in the desert?
That's true. I've done mushrooms on a hike in, like, a warm environment, but not a desert, and even then, it was really that was super fun experience. It was really trippy,
Might be dangerous
which
to
is
do,
the point.
because you can get really dehydrated fast in the
Yeah.
desert, especially if you're
Yes.
drinking. If you've ever been to like a pool party in Vegas or anything along those lines, you
Yeah. Oh,
start
yeah.
drinking in the sun, you're gonna get dehydrated way quick.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to tell whether you're drunk or if you're just like dehydrated and lightheaded from
Right.
that. Yeah, but
Exactly.
doing shrooms on a hike though, that's like a whole nother connection with just nature in general. That sounds fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mentally having a not good time, when I did them, in terms of, like, life. I felt like I was, like, at a crossroads and I was feeling very lost, which is why I wanted to go out and do them,
Mm.
and, I had, like, a moment where I'm a cr you okay. If you're listening right now, y'all, I'm gonna tell you a secret. I'm a crier. I'm a big crier. I'm a big softie. I don't tell people that, but I do. I cry a lot. So, being someone that cries, emotions run high for me whenever I do mushrooms. Like, it's very much a roller coaster, and even if I cry, it can be out of like happiness. So I'm that particular time being out there and on the middle of the rocks and like, just kind of sitting, and it had been so hot. It had been so hot the whole time, only, like, 2 hours and just, like, still air, and I felt, like, almost sick, and I
Mhm.
was also tripping, and I was just trying to like, so I, like, stood under this, like, little tree, and then all of a sudden, there was, like, this massive gust of wind, and, like, felt like the universe was hugging me, no
Right.
lie. I, like, felt it, like, all over my body, and I, like, took a
That's
deep breath, and then I just had, like, tears, like, come down my face, but it was, like, I literally, like, felt, like, in the air something saying, like, "You're okay, you'll
mm.
be okay." And that was, like, a really, like, eye-opening moment for me. That was the first time also I'd ever done mushrooms alone. I'd always done them with other people, and this was the first time I was on the ride alone. I felt like I could trust myself to do so, and, it was a really good experience. Emotional, but good.
See,
So, yeah.
I think certain things like marijuana, shrooms, and things that are natural from the earth, they really
Yes,
connect you with the earth so much more. And I believe like what you were just describing right now is like the world's energy. Like you can just feel everything. And like to me,
absolutely,
that's God right there. Like
absolutely.
just the energy of the world all put together in the universe, just telling you that
Yeah.
you were okay at that very moment. Have you ever noticed? I don't know if you use marijuana ever, but something that I
Every
noticed.
day,
Okay,
all day.
all right. So remember when we did our podcast a month ago, right, with everybody?
Mhm.
I I said that I don't use that at all. That I like to, but I don't. Recently I grabbed a vape pen and I've been kind of little hits here and there just to kind of change the head space a little bit. And something that I noticed that happens to me is that I become way more like attentive to the things that I'm doing and way more focused, even being a parent. But have you
Mm.
ever like smoked some marijuana or however you took it and noticed that like you become like so much better at just caring in general, like even like towards a dog,
Yes.
even like, damn, I
Mhm.
could be a better dog parent right now.
Yeah.
Like what I'm doing, like, come here, let me pet you a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I think it's
Yes.
because you're becoming more connected with the energies, and you're just your mind space is like on another level, a more connected level to the world in general.
Mhm.
I
Agreed.
don't know. That's
No,
how I
I really couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. For me, I I probably smoke a little too much. I should probably cut back a little bit so I can feel a bit more of like the intention of the sensation behind it. I smoke so often because for me, like you were saying before, things that are naturally occurring, super helpful. I am unfortunately someone that has like way too much anxiety. And I my Aries moon makes me want to like mm, come at people, and
mm,
but all the other parts of me don't want to like come at people because I really do have a lot of compassion. I'm always trying to look at people and understand, or at least try to understand what they might be going through, before I like go hard at somebody. So that's why I smoke
yeah,
weed, before I like walk
smoke
out
weed.
the door. Because I'm like, all right, let's go, see these people. Let's go see what
Yeah,
society has in store today. Uh,
yeah.
but
And so the
also,
weed
like,
keeps you from
yeah,
like
I just don't want to ever take pills like for anxiety and stuff like that. That doesn't appeal to me.
I hear you.
So,
I hear you.
yeah,
No, 100%. I mean, I'm with you on that. The more natural solutions overall, to be honest. But I know
yeah.
there's a lot of people out there that do, find that the pills might help them and everything. But
Yeah. If you
like,
have a severe imbalance and you need them, by all means. I'm not bipolar or anything like that. At least if I am, I'm not diagnosed. But no, not to make light of those things, but yeah, if you
right.
need them, you should take them. I'm not quite that extreme, hope I don't think. I try to
Yeah, yeah.
journal and I throw tarot cards and I talk to the universe and,
I
do what
love
works
that.
for me.
I love that so much. Well, I want to get on a couple things that we brought up in a second
Yeah.
here. Let's do a foot commercial. Shout out to everybody on the live.
Hey.
Smash that like button for the Pop Pod, Pop Squad. Oh shit! And also, just a reminder: if you have not subscribed yet, press that subscribe button on YouTube. If you're watching this on Spotify, because you can watch these episodes on Spotify now, leave that review on Spotify. Shoot the Pop Pod up in the ranks. Also, leave that review on Apple if you're listening on Apple right now. I would highly recommend go to YouTube or Spotify to check that video out because we're in a foot commercial right now. And if you don't really know about foot commercials, they are super hot. Super. Yeah. I know everybody loves Maven as much as I do. So be sure that you all are on her Twitters and IGs and all the places that you should be enjoying her presence.
Yes.
I want to circle back around to when you mentioned Cuck from the whole movie
Mhm.
Deepwater. What do you think about cuckold? Do you think that's something that you are particular about?
Um, like, am I into that? Do I like it? Is that what you
Yeah,
mean?
sure.
Um, yes and no. It kind of depends. I like the idea of, well, I'm very much into tease and denial,
Uh,
so that's a lot of fun for me when I have somebody that is a cuck. But it's also, um you have to be careful depending on what there's a lot of different ways to go about satisfying that fetish for somebody.
mhm,
I do think that there are more often than not a lot of guys like to use like the racial aspect of cucking, is really common. I personally don't really get into race play at all. I don't like fetishizing the color of people's skin, like that
mhm,
bothers me. So that's not something that I engage in. So I always try to be clear with people that I go about it in a different way. So if they're okay with that, but if you're someone that's like, I want you to cuck me at the BBC, and I'm like, that's not what I do, bro. So,
Right. The
yeah,
BBC.
that's kind of how I kind of dance around that a little bit. But I also like I have like one of my subs.
Mhm.
He is outside of Houston, and I don't get to see him very often, which is fine because he likes that. And so we just have video calls and text calls. And when I want new shoes, or if I'm going to go on a date or something like that, like he wants all the details and in all their in all their glory, and that is pleasing for him, and he also likes to pay for those dates because it does something for him internally. He's also in a cage because he likes to be.
Right,
So
right, right.
there's different ways that like that's very fun for me too. So yeah, but
So there's a psychology behind the cuck world, I would say.
oh, for sure, for sure.
Very interesting one, may I add. Have you heard about the Courtney Taylor stuff that's been going on at
No,
all?
no.
Okay. When you said fetishizing somebody's skin, this brought this to mind. So just maybe a few days ago now, the event might have happened about a week ago now, but so basically she got into a domestic dispute with her boyfriend, um, of which was a black man, and he would go on rants on Twitter about how white women are so much better than black women and things of that sort, and he would like
Mm,
all the way fetishize just white women in general, right? So anyways, that's like a whole nother story right there, because like his all of the like the black community or whatever, and I may not be in the right place to be talking about all these things, but I'm just reporting what I've read and saw. um they are really upset with him because everybody's expecting them to get behind this right now, because Courtney allegedly stabbed him, and right now she's not in jail. She's out getting drinks at bars and what have you. But that community, I guess they're really upset because everyone's expecting them to get behind this, but they're saying, oh, why would they do that when he was fetishizing white women, things of that sort? So that's when it gets real messy with all the
mm,
race and stuff and all that. And I'm with you. Like, I don't like to get into all the race stuff as well, but
yeah.
no, it's a really like crazy and messy situation. But anyways, so she's a model who, she's on OF and probably some other sites or whatever, and she got fairly popular. And so it's just a huge story right now because basically she killed somebody and she's not locked up. And in fact, she just went to court apparently for a DUI, but not for stabbing and killing the guy. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, very, very,
Yo, that's
yeah,
wild. That shit's wild.
I
That
know.
shit's wild. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a weird thing because like you said, the psychology of it, I don't think that uh I think the people that ask for race play, I don't think that they even necessarily understand why they want it. And sometimes there's guilt and shame stuff wrapped up in that, from like a therapy standpoint, that it feels like some sort of like release or some sort of like catharsis, I'm sure. Um, I just don't engage in it because for me, it's like as I would like to believe I'm someone that constantly works on being anti-racist, and
mhm,
I don't. I've never claimed to be a woke person because cringe, but I'm an aware person and I'm an aware white lady. I'm aware of the problems that white women put out there for society and the privileges that we have that we don't recognize. And so when someone's like, lay that kind of power on me, I'm just not into it. Just
right,
not into it at all. And one of the first people to ever message me and ask me for a meetup, that's
mhm,
what he wanted. He wanted me to literally like the what he had described, and it was so wild to me because he was such a lovely man. And then when he described what he wanted in a meetup, in a session, was, essentially for him to be treated like trash, to be for me to order food, chew it, and spit it on him, and tell him how worthless he was, and then mention the color of his skin while I did it. And I just
Wow.
I understand that was something that he needed, but as I told him, I was like, if I understand that's what you want, I don't feel comfortable doing it or accepting money to do things like that. It's just not. And he was very much like, can we please like work out a compromise? And I'm like, no, we really can't. Because now like I know what you want, and that I can't give you that. I really
Right.
can't. But again, like I said, there's things behind that as a white woman I'll never fully understand. I don't know what it's like to have black skin and to have a white
Right.
person talk down to me. I don't know what that's like. So I don't really like to engage in that type of power dynamic. I think that's way too extreme for me, and it's too delicate. I don't enjoy that
Absolutely.
at all. At
I'm
all.
with you. And especially being that you're from Texas and that is a melting
Yeah,
pot out there. So
100%.
yeah,
I
and
have
I'm
black friends. I
right.
I have friends of all types, and yeah, can't imagine. Can't imagine.
No, man, no,
Money or not.
I feel you on
I feel like that's been the one thing in this business that, when you first start, it's like, all right, let's get a bag. And then you realize that that bag comes with asterisks, things underneath of it. And so, everyone can decide what works for them and what doesn't. But I can tell you, I have said no far more than I have said yes
right. I mean, you
to
gotta
a
have
lot of
boundaries.
things
Yeah,
since day one. And I think that's really that's how you curb burnout. That's how you can stay consistent and also sleep at night. I don't care if you offer me $2,000 to like demoralize you in the color of your skin. I'm not going to do it because I won't be able to sleep after I go home. I won't sleep for weeks, maybe not even
mm,
months. And then how long will I have to talk to my therapist about what I said to you? Even if
right.
it was in role play. So it's just, you have to figure out what
That's
works and what
interesting.
doesn't.
And see, we have a viewer that says race dom is hot because it's such a taboo.
Right. I get it. I understand that, and I understand that it's hot for some people. I
Right.
just can't go there.
Yeah, I'm sure
I'm just not the
there's
girl.
some right, right. I mean, there's others I'm
Yeah.
sure that are into that, but no, I totally hear you. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have some kind of boundaries, especially if it doesn't make you feel comfortable. When you're
Sure.
getting these requests, when in the moment of them asking you, is it like something that they clarify before you're together, or is it something that is like
Oh,
awkward to
yeah.
talk about before,
Uh,
like at
no,
the yeah.
yeah, I always have open conversations before I do sessions or do any type of like role play through like video and stuff. Like what is it exactly that you're looking for, or at least a loose idea. And if that seems cool in terms of what they give me in feedback, then I will also kind of respond with, sounds great. Here are my hard limits, just in case any of those are something you want me to incorporate, then we won't be able to like interact with each other. But usually from the word go, if those things don't come up, they usually don't ever catch me by surprise. Things that are extreme in nature, um, I think they make themselves known out of the gate.
Yeah.
Because people are like, I want this. And then I can easily be like, respectfully, I'm not the girl. And I don't know if you're familiar with Sweet Peaches Lane. She's one of my favorite foot
Yeah.
models.
Who's on this
Um,
podcast?
oh, did I
Yeah.
completely miss that episode?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. She was on
Well,
episode 21, either 19 or
dang.
21. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go back and watch it because she's one of my. Oh, I love her
Oh,
so
yeah. She's
much. But
amazing. Totally.
my favorite things that she says is no kink shame, just not kink same. Like
Mm,
that's all it is.
totally. No, that's a great
Yeah.
saying. No kink same or no
No,
kink
no
shame.
kink shame, not kink same.
No kink shame, not kink same. That's it
Yes.
right this time? Okay. All right. Yes.
Shout Shout out to Peaches Lane.
Yeah, shout out to Sweet Peaches Lane. So I want
She's the
to ask you,
best.
because I love hearing you like talk and go into depth about certain subjects and speaking about power, women, and knowing that you're a Texan. Everything that's going on with the abortion laws right now. What is your thoughts on that?
It is wild and very upsetting in a lot of ways. So many ways because, and it's also it's really upsetting because you know I sh- I shouldn't say we as a state, but our governor, kind of took the reins and decided to incorporate this, and caused enough influence or enough people that were like-minded the way he was to think
Hmm.
that they could do this amongst other states. And so now it's spreading, and that is even scarier that it's starting to happen in other states because oh wow, these laws are so insanely unforgiving, and the fact that we have a law about abortion in general is just
Mind.
nuts to me because I, again, I'm on the side of the fact that abortion is healthcare. It's medical healthcare, and more often than not, that is the reason for doing so. There's a lot of things that can happen during pregnancy, in early terms, and even later in term, that things go wrong, and not by anyone's intention. And to criminalize people for things that their body can't control,
Right.
just fucking so out of bounds. I can't even. So I've yeah, it's super upsetting, just as a woman in general, it makes you fearful. When I mean, just being in this state and in 2016, before the election, the presidential election in 2016, I felt very scared, and then after that election, I felt very scared. To the point I went and got an IUD.
Wow.
So, like, that I mean, that's how that those things impacted me. Like, you're like, "Oh, I could go to jail or be put in prison for things beyond my control. Fine,
Right.
then I just won't have children, and I won't give a man any kind of option to impregnate me. Like, fine, then I'll double down. I'm shutting down for business. You can't even put me in that position."
Yeah.
So, again, that's not, I don't think all, and again, as a white lady, privileged to do so, to just go to the doctor and be like, lock it up, done.
Right.
Not every person can do that. And I think that is the bigger issue at hand, especially in Texas, anywhere in the South, and just abortion healthcare in general, is the people that this truly impacts are people that don't have access to the resources, people that have different colors of skin, also girls that are underage, girls that are raped by family members,
Mm.
or if you aren't able to talk to someone that you trust and you have to get an abortion, A, do you have the money? B, do you have the resources to go to the doctor in the first place, and the transportation to do so, and the support afterwards, mentally, physically, and emotionally, to deal with all that?
Mhm.
No. Like, people think that it's something that's not that big of a deal. Well, I shouldn't say that. You have advocates that are like, it's just a bag of cells. And it is, from a science perspective. If you're in early terms or whatever, and that's how it goes, it is a simple procedure. It does happen very quickly. But whether it's early term or later in term, the emotional and mental ramifications that come alongside of having to make that decision, and especially if you make that decision under some type of duress,
Yeah.
it's just so unfair. And there's no challenging law for men in that capacity. There's no law written anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world that says a man can't do X with his body. Not
Right.
one anywhere. And that's why women are fucking pissed. And we will eternally be pissed about this. And I get even, it's hard to not get mad at other women that back it as well. And it's like, it's not, you have to take the procedure out of it and what the procedure means. And you have to look at it from a macro perspective as the female body. And a legal organization saying you can or cannot do something with your body is eternally fucked. And to get on board with that is just nuts to me. It's just nuts. But anyway,
No, I mean it
that's my
totally is nuts.
rant on it. But
I feel like anybody that backs that, like, how could you back that? Like, how do you not understand the reason why people are so outraged about the whole situation? And that's why I wanted to
yeah,
ask you about that,
yeah,
because I knew you would go into depth, and you being somebody who is an empath and even talking about the situation, I could see that you were getting serious and a
yeah,
little emotional about about that topic in general, because it
yeah,
is a serious one, and it does make people want to cry when they talk about it, or even think about the audacity of a government institution placing laws like that. Like, how does that even make sense? Are we even in real life anymore?
well, yeah.
That's what makes me
That's
wonder, is when things like that happen. Like, are we seriously in the simulation at this point? Or like, what is
dude,
this?
every day. The other day I was talking to just like some random people and I said something and like 10 seconds later I said the same thing and I go, did I just say that? And they looked at me and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm sorry, there's a glitch in the matrix.
Really
Anyway,
though?
yeah, it's just like one of those things where I like constantly like this cannot be real.
Yeah. No.
But I mean, we're gonna go on the conspiracies a little bit, but so you're talking about mushrooms earlier and like altered states of being. I mean, that's just what's cool about those types of substances. They allow you to enter like a altered state um, that is going on at all times that you just can't quite tap into because you're conscious. The subconscious is like wild in that way.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh, totally.
yeah.
It unlocks certain parts of your brain
Mhm.
that you normally don't use, and it makes you have those realizations where it's just mind blowing. You're like, wow, why didn't I
Yeah.
think about that when I was not of this substance at the
Yeah.
moment? You know what I mean? So
Yeah, the neurons fire differently.
yeah, just
Mhm.
just like,
Especially when your ego gets to melt,
mm-hmm.
that's a
Yeah,
powerful
that's
tool.
that's another thing, because everybody has ego, and I've never done
Sure.
DMT,
Oh,
because
me either.
I've heard DMT completely melts the ego away, and or even ayahuasca. That's
Yes.
people go to places like Peru, or
Yeah.
wherever else they go to see a shaman, and they have those ayahuasca sessions,
Yeah.
and I believe they last a few days, and it's supposed to like remove the traumas of your
Yeah.
past in some kind of form or fashion, because it
Yeah.
unlocks different parts of the brain that might be holding back something. I don't know. It's interesting to me.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah. And a very intense, like, therapy session essentially. I really want to do ayahuasca as well, but I'm so terrified because every documentary and video I see is people just like violently ill and like I'm a puker. Like after a night out, like if I'm drinking liquor, you don't want to know me the next day. Like if I really turn one on, like I'm inoperable. So and I will that's so much information. But yeah, I'm a puker, guys. I'm a puker. And so like ayahuasca for that reason is like I think that would I would have an epiphany and then it would kill me like from dehydration.
She said, "I'll have an epiphany and it will just
I'm
end
like
me." I'm so done with you. Hey, let's do a commercial. I gotta go pee really bad, so let's do a commercial,
do that, do
and we'll come
that.
I want to
He's
know
back,
who was thinking "One More Drink" by T Pain during that commercial. No, somebody was.
right?
Can't drink.
Buy you a drink. Oh man,
I
such a
know
good
better.
album.
I know
That's a lot
better
of
than to
fun.
buy you a drink because you're inoperable after drinking.
I don't know. I'm a wine gal. I'm always gonna be into wine. I didn't used to be. Wow, until I moved to Austin. Actually,
Mm,
it's a different. It's just a different vibe with wine down here than where I'm from, and so I started to learn about wine, and I started working in fine dining, and so yeah, wine is my jam. I will have
wine
a
is my
cocktail
jam
here
too.
and there, but not very often.
I grew up very close to Napa Valley, so
Oh, nice.
yeah, so that was kind of like a weekend type of thing, going to the wineries, or if you're dating somebody, oh, let's, go to the winery. It
Let's
was
go to
always a
wine
good
country.
time
Yeah. Oh,
to some
yeah.
wine tasting and, kind of jump from or not vineyard to vineyard, but winery to winery. And
Yeah.
it's a good time, or find that one that you really like and go and have the hors d'oeuvres with the wine, or if they got a
Yeah.
restaurant there,
Oh,
do
yeah.
a little appetizer, and then, oh my gosh, man, there's this
Then hit it.
restaurant in Napa. It's called Rutherford's. If anybody is ever in the Napa
Ooh.
Valley area, go to Rutherford's. I'm telling you right now, they got the best au jus dip sandwich there. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. And then they got the artichokes. Oh my gosh. And now I'm getting hungry.
Well, Rutherford, that makes me think of, I remember serving like a certain bottling of cab at one time, and their main claim on that bottle was Rutherford dust is like a
Mm,
part of the soil composition in that particular vineyard that was from a former creek bed that existed like 100 years prior or something like that. And so that imparts itself into the soil, into the vines. It like comes across in the glass, like really cool. Anyway, yes.
I fucking love it. Let's do your horoscope. Let's see what that says.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, Sagittarius, right?
I'm a Sagittarius. It's like my sun sign. And
Okay.
then I mentioned earlier the Capricorn rising. And then I also have an Aries moon, which your moon is kind of like your real self. Like that's what's like just under the surface. Like your sun is kind of what you show everybody, and your
Okay.
moon is like who you are when you're alone.
Hmm.
Um, and your rising is kind of uh, what takes over in presentation to society as well. Kind of like, I remember someone not that long ago, one of my good friends who I've known for years, said something to me about like, but you're so organized, you always have it together. And I lost my mind. I was laughing so hard. And I was like, I have you so swindled. Like, I have nothing together. My life is an absolute mess, and I cannot believe that you think this about me. And he's like, well, I've worked with you for so long, and you were like so like on your shit. And I'm like, yeah, at work.
Right.
At work. You
She's
and also I'm just very good at like helping others, but like when it comes to like helping myself, like Jesus, someone throw Maven a life raft. Like give her to throw them all. Like she's grasping, she's drowning. Not really. Not really, but
goodness.
that's like one cool thing about like being a little bit older is like the older I get, I'm like, well, I think it's easier to take the punches because you're like, shit, I still don't know. Okay, well, I just don't know. So I'll just be here figuring
Right.
it out.
No,
It's
you do
fun.
come across as a very organized person who has it figured out and, know a lot. I will say that. I agree with those people greatly.
Oh,
Um, so
thank you.
if you were to look at your horoscope, what sign would you look up? Do you have to look up all of them, or
I often do look at the three. I always look at the Sagittarius like as the main focus.
okay?
I also often look at Scorpio often because that's
She's
my
like, I'm all the
uh
signs.
I know. Well, no, Scorpio, I have a few placements in Scorpio, but particularly my Venus is in Scorpio. And I don't know what you know about Scorpios, but they can be super intense and like very brooding, and we're kind of like PI detectives. And they
Everyone is
hold grudges
PI.
and they love very deeply and intensely. And that's how I am. Like when I feel crazy, like if I have a crush or if I'm dating somebody and I feel like nuts, like out of my mind, and I look at like, I'm like, okay, that's like my Scorpio Venus. Like, you need to like, you're normal. You're a normal person. You don't have anxiety. You're a cool girl. You're
Mm.
cool. I'm not. I'm not cool. I'm not cool. I'm like, I want to be chill and I'm not chill. I'm super anxious. I'm like always amped and I'm always up here, guys. I'm always up here. 100%. That's
Hey,
my horoscope.
did you ever watch? Did you ever watch Eurovision with Will Ferrell?
Yes. Yes.
You just reminded me of that when you said I'm a cool girl. Remember when Will Ferrell was
I'm a
locked up
cool
and
girl.
he was like, remember when he was like, oh, he was like, yeah, man, just let me go. When he was locked up, he said, be a cool guy. Yeah,
Be a
man,
cool guy. Just let me go. Just be cool. Just be
that's
cool.
funny.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
That's
well,
yeah, I'm always at odds with myself, and I always tell people, and I'm like, here's my big three, which are like the Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aries thing, and then like to throw in that Scorpio Venus, because I'm like, which means I'm a serial killer and I want to stab all my
oh,
lovers.
oh my god. On that note, everybody know. So, would you say you got
No,
split personalities, or?
no, no, not at all. But I also like I have that crazy part of my brain, but I actually don't display that to other people. And I'm actually somebody that if you say that you don't want me in your life anymore or you start to back away, then I reciprocate energy.
Right.
That's just how I am as a person. Um, I give what I get and vice versa. And so if you pull back from me, I will ask you if you're all right. And if you're like, yeah, I'm good, I'm just busy, I can read between the lines. Like I'm almost 40. I mean, we're
Hmm.
all busy. But that's fine.
Right.
So I'll just be like, okay, cool, bye. But I
Right.
also have had people, I'm kind of that Scorpio kicks in for me. I don't really hold grudges, but it's more so for me like when I'm done, I'm done. And if I feel like I'm underappreciated, then I'm truly done. And also, if you tell me that you don't want me in your life anymore, okay, then I will remove myself from your life. But I can make it so like you'll think that I never even existed. You'll be like,
Right.
did I actually meet her or was she like a figment of my imagination? No, like
Mhm.
when you tell me you're done, so am I. Cool.
Right.
Bye. I don't have the energy to be friends with people that don't really value me and vice versa. So I just like again, reciprocation is everything to me. Consistency is a big thing for me. Um, people ebb and flow. We all do that, but communication about those ebbs and flows is where consistency comes in, I think.
That's very
It's like we're all
Aquarius of
allowed to
you.
be human.
That's
What'd you
very
say?
that's very Aquarius of you. Everything you just described.
Yeah. I love Aquariuses, but Aquarius men, you stay away from me. You're all of you. I love you. Stay away from me. You're the worst, and the best. You're the best lovers. I'll give you that. Yeah.
All right. Shout out to the Aquarius men out there.
Shout out to the Aquarius men, you bastards. Ugh.
What about Taurus? What do you think about Taurus? Because
Taurus.
I'm a Taurus.
I'm currently dating a Taurus, and this is the
Ah,
second time I've tried to date a Taurus, and it's the best and also the worst.
oh shit. Just describe why.
I love Taurans, like Taurans as friends, like the best. And I have so many of them because they love food, they love they love the best of everything. They love comfort. I always say, I'm like, you are like my Maslow's like hierarchy needs people. Like you're like sex, sleep, food. If I can't eat it, fuck it, or sleep in it, I don't care. And like I have a lot of respect for that because I also am like someone that always just wants to be like, I want everyone to be happy. I want everyone to be comfortable. And oh, Taurans also have like great taste in music always. So it's just always like good times, good vibes, but also like They're always right. They always want to be at home, which I get because Torrens have the best homes. All of my friends that are Torrens, when I go in their houses, I'm like, no wonder you never leave. Like it's just like they're always like this warm, inviting, like I just want to be here. They always have the best beds. They're always super, all the pillows, super fluffy comforters, like,
You ain't
but
lying.
they also, on the opposite side of that, never get out of bed, always take naps, text back when they want to, and they're always fucking right. And I don't know. It's like as friends, I'm like, I love you. And then as lovers, I'm like, I love you. You're pissing me off. So I don't know. I it's
I know
always
this
like
that's
it's
off.
a balancing act. You know, you're always like learning new things about people. Not all Torns are the same, but I think those base things are generally there. I know that I don't wake Torns up. Torns wake themselves up.
Yes.
And I think that's why this person that I'm dating right now is like, oh, she gets it. Because he
Hmm.
literally sleeps until he's like, okay, I gotta leave in like 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay.
That's the only thing
Are
I
you a
can't
Taurus?
relate to that one. I am a Taurus, but like a lot of the stuff you just described is definitely me. Like I do like to be home. I do love my home a lot, and I'll make it to where I don't have to leave here. Like I'll do everything here. But I wake myself up like early, like all the time. I'll go to sleep at midnight and then I'll wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, all right, cool,
Dang.
let's go. Yeah, like I don't believe it's a sleeping issue at all because I could sleep. I just have this thing about me where I'm eager to get up and get at the day and
Yes.
accomplish goals type of thing. Like I'm eager,
Yes.
like I don't want to go to sleep. The fact that I have to go to sleep pisses me off. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. Yeah.
I get that. That is big Taurus energy for sure. I think that all my Tauran friends are also like, let's get it. Like, let's get it every day. Like, always relentlessly working towards whatever it is you're passionate about, no matter what it is. You're like, this is it. This is what I do. That's the only thing I do. And there's only that. And you're like, all right, cool, 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 cool. But yeah, that's
Therefore,
awesome.
therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we're on podcast number 54 on POF Pod. And that's why we have Maven back on the pod because we're getting to it. She's a hard worker. The POF Pod is working hard, and we're just getting to it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. By the way, thank you again for having me on. I
Absolutely.
obviously was like really thrilled to be invited when we were in Las Vegas or when we were in Los Angeles with the homies. But I've been watching more episodes and super honored because I know you just had Mathema and Cosmic on and those girls and Empire and those girls are such a big deal in this community. And I'm like so like honored to just be like mixed in that little group or just like in the similar lineup. So
Yeah.
thanks
Well,
for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're Maven Keys, and I'm super honored that you would be on the podcast at all. So,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Shout out to Maven Keys, everybody. Um, yeah, I mean, you're definitely one of my faves. Like I said, I love how in depth you like to go, and I mean, honestly, you're a star, and I'm glad more people are getting to know you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Before we get off today, is there anything that you would like to tell your new fans, current fans, and future fans to come?
um, ooh, I mean, obviously, like we all say, please, follow me on all the social media stuff on Instagram, on Twitter. Daddy Goods got it all tagged down at the bottom, and subscribe to his channel too. But also, I obviously have OnlyFans, guys. You can reach out to me there. And I make customs for people. I do sessions. Those are all, I put links in my bios on all my socials. So if you tap the link in the bio, that's how you can find all the things related to me, Maven Keys. Send me gifts, book sessions, find me on socials, buy things. Just come say hi.
Just go say hi. Be cool,
Just come
guys.
say hi. I don't bite unless you ask me to.
Oh shit. Well, thank you once again, man, for being on the podcast once again, and I'm looking forward to the next time I have you on because I definitely feel like we will have you on again. Isn't that
Oh, amazing. I can't wait to come back.
awesome? Awesome. Well, shall we foot marshal our way up out of here?
Let's do it. Thanks, y'all.
Ah,
I appreciate
shit.
you.
All right, everybody, we're gonna foot marshal our way out of here. Thank you all for watching. And Maven, don't go nowhere. I want to talk to you after the podcast. All right. Smash the like button, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. All that good stuff. I am caffeine out right now. I had like 2 coffees. I had a double shot espresso. I'm currently drinking a cold brew. So I might have to go on a run after this. Right on, everybody, for tuning in. And we're out of here.